Hello and welcome back to another episode of St. Louis on Stage this week. St. Louis on Stage connects audiences with the many productions, companies, artists, and opportunities found across the St. Louis theater community. Through interviews, discussions, calendars, and features, we hope to make local theater easier to discover and enjoy. Today, we're visiting Union Avenue Opera for The Elixir of Love, a romantic comedy opera filled with beautiful music. And I lost my place. I'm so sorry. Beautiful music, humor, mistaken confidence, and the search for true love. Composed by Donizetti, his last name. Maybe our guests can help us with that. With libretto by Felice Romani. The opera premiered in Milan in 1832, which blows my mind. And I love that we can be entertained by something because we're literally the same. We just now have computers. Nearly 2 centuries later, it seems one of the world's most frequently performed comic operas, celebrated for its warmth, humor, memorable characters, and beautiful melodies, including the famous aria that I can't pronounce, but maybe my guests can. I did so good on our promo for this, and I learned some. Una furtiva lagrima. I will be better in the future, I promise. Let's invite our guests in. We've got, once again, we're returned by Robert Ione. Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Thanks for having me today.
Always happy to have you. And Carl Wickman.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for
How's it going,
me.
Carl?
Hey, not bad. Zooming
Fantastic.
in from work, so excuse any background noise you might hear. I'm
No
at the
problem.
Rep, the fabulous
Nope.
Rep Theater. So.
Oh, very
Oh,
cool.
nice.
See,
Nice.
you're in the thick of it.
Right,
Yes.
right.
My
I'm in
house.
the trenches.
Yeah. So I did not get to see the show. I'm very upset because in a discussion Robert and Julie had, they spoke about how fantastic this show was as a show, how fantastic it was performance of this show, and that it's a great one to really introduce somebody to opera. And I really have not seen any opera. I've heard singing, operatic singing, and I've known I may sing, but I can't do that. And so let's start you off. And what are your first thoughts, or what did you first think after you left the performance?
Well, if I could actually start, I'm going to say something dumb. Okay, I'm just gonna just gonna let you know right
It's
now.
right
But
in with me. So
but it is something that I think about every time I go to the opera. So the first thing I'd like to say, this is the dumb part, Carl. It's so nice to be talking to somebody who's young. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when
Absolutely.
I go to the opera, whether it's at OTSL or Winter Opera or Union Avenue, who am 65 years old, I always look around and I say, I think I'm about the third youngest person in the room. You know, so I am so happy that you are here, Carl. And we were talking before the show, before we started recording. And Carl, you mentioned that this was the first opera that you had seen, right? And I've already
Yeah,
forgotten. How old were you? How old were you?
I would have been 13 at the time.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
I have a long connection to Union Avenue Opera. Actually, it was my first ever theater gig in general. I
Oh,
worked
wow.
Ost Rheingold in, I believe, 2013 or
Yes,
2012.
yes, I remember
Yeah,
that.
you remember that? I was the
Wow.
I
guy
do remember it.
bringing the projection screen up and down. So
Uh-huh.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
wow.
I have family who've worked at Union Avenue, friends of the family. So, yeah, this was the first opera I got to see. Parents took me, and at the time, I didn't have the tools to connect with it. I was young. I didn't really know any of these concepts. But now, seeing it at the same venue almost 20 years later is very interesting, and I think it resonated with me a lot more. It's silly, but I think there's deepness there as well, and there's a lot it's saying about how humans make connections and about how
Hmm.
slippery those connections are and about how many misunderstandings there are in our life.
I think I love all of that. And it's okay. So my question, first of all, life is ridiculous. To not enjoy the ridiculousness of something written is insane, because life is actually like that sometimes. And those are some of the highlights. Everybody has a story about something in their life, like, oh my gosh, I don't believe what happened. And then to tie it around love, and then to put it against the backdrop of opera, such a high art, I think that's a perfect formula for a great show. So if I can bring this back to this production, is there an
Hmm.
example of that in this production? First in the story, and then how they portrayed it that brings it to life more than or nearly 100 years since it was written. Is that correct? I believe
Nearly 200 years.
Yeah, too.
200. That's what I meant. Yes, thank you.
Right. 2032 will be the 200th
Yeah, 6
anniversary
years from
of,
that. Yeah.
yeah, 6 years from now. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think it's incredible that we can connect to it still after 200 years. And like I was saying, I connected with it more now than I did when I was 13. I know more about this stuff, and I think the comedies, especially, those are going to be really good entry points for folks. Not just an entry point, though. I think a seasoned enjoyer of opera and theater will appreciate these comedies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was trying to think, when was the last time I saw Elixir at Union Avenue? Maybe 12 or 13 years ago. I'm not sure. Was maybe 2013 or 2014. And the person that I was with, that was the first time she'd ever been to the opera. And she said the same thing, that she felt like that was a great first opera to see. Um, let's talk about maybe this production specifically. Um, like all small opera companies, gosh, I should know this. How many years has Union Avenue been around?
This is their 32nd season.
32nd. I knew it was over 30. So
Wow.
obviously, we're talking about a company that probably started like as a shoebox opera company and has managed to survive more than 3 decades and grow and grow and grow. But what really impressed me about this production is just the voices themselves. Yes, the acting was good, but the level of voices from all of the main characters, all of them, Nemorino, Adina, Belcore, Dulcamara, all of these people have voices that I would not be surprised if I heard them in much larger, much more important, much more famous theaters. And
Wow.
I don't know if Union Avenue's budget suddenly just grew, or sometimes if singers haven't performed a role before and it's new for them, they like to try it out in smaller houses. I don't know. I don't know any background story for any of these people, but um, as soon as the woman singing Adina began singing, I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. But
Yeah.
something that doesn't happen often to me in the opera world, when the man singing Nemorino, he has this very famous aria right at the end of the opera, but he's got a much shorter one at the beginning, O quanto è bella. I mean, the moment he sang the word "oh," just the first word, I sat up in my seat.
Oh,
It's like
wow.
I leaned forward and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I thought, this is one of the most beautiful tenor voices I've heard in St. Louis ever.
Wow.
Okay. It was just gorgeous. I felt sorry for him because he sets a very high standard, knowing that you got to go through the whole
The
opera
whole
and then
show,
sing your
right?
hardest, biggest aria at the end, which he did a magnificent job. But it's like, oh, dude, you set the bar so high. I can't remember the last time though, just in the first note, one note, it's like, oh, I sat up in my seat. It's like, okay. Um,
Okay, now you're not advocating for actors to set a bar real low for us in the future, are you?
no, I'm not.
Mess up the first one, by the end, it's like, God, he got so much better. No.
Yeah,
Right,
Union,
exactly.
they've always
He was really good by the end of the
forced the
show,
challenge.
Yeah, exactly. Leave him. Yeah. Anyway.
and then every other person. So by that point, I'd heard two of the main characters. Then the third one comes out, and I'm like, okay, mm-hmm. The Dulcamara comes out, and it's like, Okay, liking this. And then there's a smaller role. And I'm so glad that one of the reviewers, I don't remember who, but one of them said um, Leanne Schuring was probably overqualified as Janetta, and she has sung many Adinas in her life, I'm sure, you know. But that's, I feel like, okay, that's where Union Avenue is, that right down to the smallest roles, because Leanne has sung lead roles there in the past too, you know, that everything is covered and it's covered beautifully.
Fantastic.
Yeah, as someone who's worked for Union Avenue for years, I can tell you the morale is always pretty high. People really enjoy the company. It is smaller, and they do more with less. I feel like they've really grown that muscle. So they're great at sourcing talent because of that, and people want to work for them, and they love these
Right, right.
pieces, and they love these actors, and the music, and the space itself is really a good place to perform. It sounds great. It's very you get a lot of you can hear yourself as a singer. I've heard people
Hmm.
describe it, so it's kind of a
Oh, okay.
pleasure to sing in this chapel.
So,
Okay, so
oh, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, so magnificent voices, and then you touched on the acting. Tell us about the acting. How was that?
So,
Because comedy is hard. Comedy
comedy
is,
is hard,
yeah.
and I have been involved in the opera world my entire life, and I would say the number one complaint that most non-singers have when they go to the opera is that they feel like the acting, it's just not what they expected, or it's different in ways that they don't understand. And I think
Yeah.
especially if you go back and look at opera from many years ago, we see that it was kind of the park and bark age. You just walk out, you sing, and you walk off. That's all changed. That has all changed. We have in Union Avenue at Opera Theater St. Louis, I see wonderful acting every single season. These people are fine actors. They understand comedy, they understand comedic timing, and I know that if I see them in a tragedy, I will be saying the same thing about their tragic work as well. These people are actors. They are not just singers. They're actors.
That's fantastic. And
Yeah.
go ahead, Carl.
Oh, I was just gonna say that it helps that I know so many of them are friends in real life, so they have things that make themselves laugh, and that's something important in theater, is actually this community where you know the folks, and when you have these challenges as an actor, like how are we going to convey this, how are we going to find humor in this thing, even if this was humor from 200 years
Mhm.
ago, how can we sort of translate it to our personal humor? They're really good
Right.
at that. So I think that chemistry is palpable, and you could really tell from
Right, and
the
if I
show.
could add something to that, Carl, I won't mention his name because I don't have his permission, but my neighbor 2 doors down is also an opera singer, and he has sung with Union Avenue many times, including this season. Um, and so oftentimes when he's out walking his dog, I will go walking with him. So we were walking a few nights ago, and we were talking specifically about Fiddler on the Roof and Union and Elixir. And what you said, Carl, is so true because, excuse me, he knows every single person. They all know each other. They are like a family, you know. And he was not involved in Elixir, but had conversations with people that were, you know, they they consult each other. It's like they're friends,
Of
you know.
course.
They talk
Yeah.
about this stuff, you know.
It's a good example of an echo chamber and the importance of a
Hmm.
city's theater scene. Is if we all know
Yeah.
each other, if we all get along, we'll figure out ways to make each other laugh and cry and all that.
Hmm.
Right. Absolutely. And I think they always talk about comedy's hard. And I've found that it's not necessarily that in its in and of itself it's hard. It's that, do you know what kind of story you're doing? There's a big difference between um different styles of comedy. I'm going to soon do a roundtable about Young Frankenstein,
Mm.
which Mel Brooks is very different comedy than other styles. And if the company doesn't all get that, if the straight man is playing a different kind of comedy than your Costello and Abbott aren't on the same page, they can both be doing wonderful work, but it's missing because timing, a look to the audience, a look to the other person, a pause. Um, a lot of it has to do that you just basically I'm going with, like you're saying, if these people are connected and understand one another, they're gonna grow together and grasp things in a different way that comes out in the performance, which is fantastic. Okay, so we've talked about the comedy, we've talked about the singing. What makes Elixir such a great show for a new person to opera?
I think the story is easy to follow. I think it's funny. And Donizetti, one thing he's known for is writing beautiful melodies. And for the most part, the orchestra is there at least while people are singing, just to support that. So there's not as much to process. I think there's not as much to process in a Donizetti opera as maybe in a Wagner opera. Where you've got this dense orchestration going on, you've got much more complex harmonial a structure going on. I think it's just easier to process for somebody that doesn't even know where to start processing. So I think just sit there and watch and kind of let the music, let the opera come to them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think it's incredibly straightforward, but not simplistic. I think there
Mhm.
are a lot of archetypes we can all recognize in this particular show. Snake oil salesman, the scam artist, that's still very relevant today.
Yes, it
Concerns
is. I'm
with the
looking to buy a
army.
car.
I was just thinking that car salesman.
Yeah, the town fool. We all know one. All of these the people who are the people trying to marry into money. That's such a common trope that's still relevant today.
Yeah,
We got a
absolutely.
lot of
who has
things that were relevant then. They're relevant now.
who has not been in love with somebody that did not love you back?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
you know.
yes,
Um,
especially Young Love, which is
young love, right?
so. Yeah, you are looking through some colored glasses there. Before you start, Robert, don't forget your thought, please. Julie George is joining us, and I
Oh,
know she got
yay!
to see the show too. I hope that's fine that I brought you. I just saw you in the green room, but I know you saw the show too, Julie.
Yeah.
And we've touched on stuff. So, Robert, go ahead and say what you're saying, and then I'll address my next question to you, Julie.
I was going to ask Carl a question since he
Yeah.
has acknowledged being part of the Union Avenue Opera family for many, many years now. Can you verify something for me? I remember the days when the orchestra was on the floor level, and then suddenly they have a pit. And I asked somebody about that, and they said that the church members themselves dug the pit. And hauled the debris out in buckets. Can you verify that story for me? Is that true or some
I cannot
version of that
confirm
story?
nor deny. I cannot confirm nor deny. It's
The
Okay.
secret stays with him.
All right.
And the
Okay.
So,
I'm not.
Julie,
I'm
tell-
not saying there are bodies buried underneath the stage. By the way,
Well, I
Or-
like that story, and I'm going to continue to spread it as fact. Okay.
well, and
I'm
perhaps
just
there
going to
were
let you
bodies
know that.
buried
All right.
before.
I heard that, so I don't know.
So, are you saying, Carl, that there were bodies, but they're being moved, or
No comment.
no comment? All right,
I
Julie,
think
what do
we
you have
already
to say?
talked about Sweeney, didn't we? We go ahead.
Attend the tale of Union Opera. Anyway, go ahead.
Right.
All right, Julie, tell us really quickly. We're going to have to wrap up here, but can you tell us about? You had mentioned this is a great show to start on a journey to understand and enjoy opera. Did you have any
Oh,
things, and particularly about this performance? Because we've talked about how fantastic this ensemble was, and the voices, and the talent, and the acting. What are your thoughts on that?
well, I think everyone always if they're not familiar with opera, everyone always thinks, oh, drama and exaggeration and tragedy and, to some degree, yeah. But also there's comedy and that's the best opera to start with if you're going to introduce someone. And this is just a great opera for a first time opera goer to see because it's fun, it's light. I came in on the tail end of the snake oil salesman. You guys were going through the archetypes, and I'm like, yes, and the town fool, and it's just beautiful. It's delightful.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
The flip side of that coin is if you've been going to opera your entire life, you are still going to love an aria like
Right.
Una Portiva
That's
Lagrima. You're going to love
Absolutely.
every note in the opera. You
Yeah.
know, so it's not like you'll see this and then be bored with it 20 years from now.
And I also want to just make sure that we get this in. The costumes are gorgeous. The set is
Yes,
Oh,
gorgeous.
the
that's right.
set.
Opera. We
Oh, I
should.
loved the set. The
I'm
costumes
I
were
sorry, I
great.
didn't
was
bring that
eye
up.
candy. But
Thank
is
you
eye
for bringing that up. Yes.
Yeah, it's one of the most ambitious sets that I've seen. UAO.
It was gorgeous.
It's
Yeah.
gorgeous. Yeah, it really
Mhm.
is. So,
I think
Magnificent.
the
Go ahead,
the
Julie.
one thing that I kept thinking about and commenting on during the intermission was how the colors in the Italian village set matched the colors of the costumes of the villagers, and then of course the costumes of um, like the soldiers and
Hmm.
the lead woman were a little different, so they stood out. They weren't the same colors, but all the
Right.
rest of the colors were just yummy. It was just the way they all blended together.
Right. And I'm sure that was a choice, the difference, so that they could stand out, or that they don't fit in the village the same way the others do. That's
Right. I
fantastic.
feel like Teresa Doggett took paint samples to the fabric store, and was
Must
matching
have.
like paint samples to pieces of fabric,
Oh,
because
wow.
it was great work.
Magnificent.
That's the way it
And
seemed to me.
Really
Teresa
nice
generally
work.
does really great work. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for joining us. I want to
Thank
quickly
you.
say, just from St. Louis on Stage, we are deeply grateful for the welcome that St. Louis on Stage has received from artists, companies, audiences, and theater advocates throughout the region. The enthusiasm has made this project possible. So thanks for joining me today on St. Louis on Stage this week, with Carl, Robert, Julie, and even me. So make sure you check out Union Avenue Opera. Is this the last weekend?
yes,
Yes.
it is the last.
So this is their your last chance to see the Elixir. So it just sounds like a fantastic production that needs to be seen. So if there's any possible way, get out and see that. And hey, go see a play.